Hello guys, welcome to my first long form video. It's just going to be an army overview, so basically I'm going to be going over each of the squads in a little bit of detail, how I painted them, when I got them, stuff like that. So we're going to start off with my first squad that I ever got. So we're going to be starting off with my Assault Intercessor squad. This was the first squad I ever fully completed, and it also has my first miniature in it. First off, I'll talk about my first ever painted Space Marine. This was back before I learned to thin my paints and everything, but it's honestly not too bad. I did mess up the chainsaw a bit though, because I didn't know what they looked like back then. But I painted them Ultramarines because I thought they were pretty cool, and I'd say I did a pretty decent job with the limited brush that I had. Moving on, we have these two. These were the second ones that I had. They're basically just identical with some slight posing differences. These are the push fit sprues, but I believe I have glued some of them together. But yeah, so these were also before I learned to thin my paints, so they honestly don't look the best, but it was back when I was a beginner, so yeah. Then we have a different one. This is just one of the extras that I have, because I wanted to complete the squad. I got the sprues second hand, but all the parts are on them, so it was a pretty good deal. Got them for free. This is the Sergeant. I'd like to say that I did slap chop, but if I'm being honest, it was a very bad failed attempt because I didn't know how to do it back then. But this was the first Sergeant I painted. This helmet is off of a different sprue because I wanted a cooler looking Sergeant, so I just pulled his head off after I got the new sprue. But yeah, he's the one leading the squad, apart from the one that we'll get to next. Believe it or not, I used a Blade Guard Veteran helmet, the Knight inspired one, because I thought it was cool, and because the other helmet already had paint on it, and it was a quite boring helmet. And I also used a Terminator Purity seal, because I had one spare on the sprue. I also created my own back banner, using some cut up sprue parts and a spare Terminator head that I have, and as well as these two things on the side, which are from a different sprue that isn't even Warhammer 40k. I also used a spare Terminator shoulder pad because I thought it would look cool and it makes sense. This is my captain leading the Assault Intercessor squad, and this guy has a pretty funny story. He was originally a intercessor, believe it or not, but it was one that my friend gave me. It was half built, missing a lot of pieces, so I decided to turn it into a Blade Guard Veteran using some of the Stormcast pieces that he gave me. So I used the shield from a Stormcast and the spear from a Stormcast, but I cut it up to turn it into a power sword. I also used a spare bolt rifle hand that I had from the local club that I go to, but I was unhappy with a single Blade Guard Veteran, so what I did was I promoted him to a captain. Now, let's move on to probably my biggest squad in the entire army. My second squad that I'll be going through is my Infernus Marine squad. This is probably the biggest squad I have, considering it's from multiple boxes. So first off, we'll talk about the Lieutenant. This guy was originally an Infernus Marine. I had a few spare, and I decided to promote him to a Lieutenant by giving him a heavy bolt pistol that I had painted up, by cutting off his flamer hand and adding that hand on. The arm's still original, but also this power fist here. This is originally a Terminator power fist, but I stuck it onto a Mark 10 power armor shoulder pad, and I think it looks quite accurate to a normal one. Also, that on the top to show that he's a lieutenant was a pain to paint, because I had to do freehand for the first time. So it wasn't the best to paint, but it was pretty fun to build. Next, we're going to talk about the sergeant. He's just the basic starter set sergeant with the bolt pistol, the sword, and the flamer. I haven't modified him at all. He's still push fit, so his arms are still wobbly. I need to glue that together. But yeah, he's just the basic sergeant. The next squad I'm going to be talking about are my Terminators. They are just the normal Terminators that came in the starter set, basically the Indomitus ones. But I've done a little something with one of them. Starting with the Captain in Terminator armour, he has all of the normal stuff on him, apart from his helmet. I decided to go with this colour scheme for the helmet because there isn't really an official colour for it. I went for the Lieutenant colours, but instead of the normal white stripe, it's a gold stripe, because I thought it looked cool. But yeah, apart from that, it's just a regular Captain in Terminator armour, nothing special about him. Now we have my Sergeant. He's just the standard Terminator Sergeant that comes in the Indomitus box. All push fit, I need to glue them together. But yeah, he's just the standard one, pretty boring. The next one that I want to make note of is this. I thought the minigun for the assault cannon looked pretty boring, so I used a spare heavy bolter from my Razorback set, glued that on, painted it up to match, and I think it looks pretty cool. My other two Terminators that I haven't mentioned are just the basic Terminators, nothing special about them. Yeah, they're pretty boring, but they're good in game. Last thing we're going to talk about before we move on to my tank is my second Terminator squad. These guys are pretty cool. They are my box set Terminators, the Primaris scale ones, because they look cool. And these were the first Terminators I got. I got them just before Christmas. I painted them up, and I think they look pretty cool. Starting off with my custom Chaplain in Terminator armour. This guy actually has a funny story. He was originally the Librarian in Terminator armour that came in the starter set, but I don't like Librarians, especially not in my army, so I wanted to turn him into a Chaplain. I did that. I thought it was pretty cool. Put a bunch of effort into him using spare pieces from my Terminator box set, but unfortunately, due to what I'd like to call a minor paint spill mishap, that happened on the back, meaning that I'm going to have to get a new one, build them up, paint them up, to hopefully look better. Next one I'd like to mention is the one with the heavy flamer, because he's just really cool looking. Also, all of my Terminators have chain fists, because I thought they looked cool and they're pretty decent in game. Last one I'd like to mention is my Sergeant, because he looks cool. I need to put some text on his shoulder pad there, but one cool thing about him is the double shoulder shields, because I thought they look cool. And yeah, I got a bit carried away with the paint there, with the texture paint, but I think it makes him look cooler. The other Terminators in the squad are just these three basic ones, all just chain fist and storm bolter, but they're still pretty cool looking. I've done transfers for all of them and everything, but yeah, I did dry brushing on these as well. Last thing in my army is the Razorback tank. I got this for Christmas. It's my first attempt at painting a vehicle, and I'd say I did pretty decently. I was thinking of making it a Rhino, but I decided against that because I could just buy a Rhino, and so I decided to give it las cannons because of the armour piercing, plus they're pretty cool. And so far the only weapons I have in my army that are ranged are just bolters, or bolt variants and stuff, so I decided to mix it up a bit by adding las cannons. Although, I do have a Stormbolter turret on here, so there is still bolters, and Hunter Killer Missile. This may not be able to transport as many people as a Rhino, but it's got the weapons, a lot of weapons. So that means it's going to be really good for backfire support. I tried doing the same dry brushing technique I did for the Terminators, for like battle damage, but also for battle damage I edge highlighted with silver, and I thought that was cool. But yeah, that is my entire army overview. I hope that I'll see you guys soon. My next long form video is going to be a painting video, so it'll just be me explaining what I'm painting, how I'm painting it, and it'll just be a chill video really. Anyway, bye guys, I'll see you in the next video.